I'm making a horror fishing game combining iron lung and big bass fishing. It's time for us to finish our game. We just have to tie it up in a neat little bow. But there's a list of things we need to do before that, so let's just jump right into it. Firstly, we need to finally set up an ending for our game. A place for the player to come and put their dad back together. And now that we've got a model for an altar, we need the player to choose whether they want to save their dad or not. But we're not just going to give the player two options. What we need is to detect the player's hesitation. If a player is a little too hesitant, we can just go ahead and assume they hate their dad and don't want to see him put together. But if they do want to put their dad together, all the parts in the boat disappear and your dad comes back and now you're fishing with him on the lake. Wait, but since when did the body parts end up in the boat? Well. A comment told me to do it. So, all we need to do is arrange the limbs within the boat, and when they caught, a bull changes which activates the limb in the boat, allowing the player to see what they've got. Initially, I was going to do this with UI and on the pause menu, but I think this idea is so much better. Anyway, back to the altar. We need to be able to communicate with our player. Most games use little dialogue boxes, but those are lame and rigid, so I'm opting for a looser approach. A typewriter style text appearing across the screen telling the player whatever we want. To set this up, I basically just add a letter to a text object, wait for 1/10 of a second, then add another letter until the sequence is complete. There's definitely a better way to do this, but oh well. So, now we need some things to say. First, since we've got our monster eating the player, we can tell them that they've been eaten. We can also now tell the player how disappointed their father is in them for not catching fish. And most importantly, we can tell the player to press E to put their dad back together. Pause. We've made way too much progress and we're way too early in the video. So let's add a pointless feature. Pausing. Every so often you need to step away from your game to attend a real life matter, or so people tell me. So we need a way to stop everything. And then unstop it as well, I suppose. So Unity has an inbuilt feature called timescale. Using this allows us to pause all events that are affected by delta time, which is the change in time and anything we move with Unity physics or rigid bodies as far as I'm aware. So this doesn't stop our player looking around and shooting the bobber, but it does stop all the fish and our boat from moving. So instead, we just need to manually stop those other things by putting in a check when the game goes to run those events, and if the game's paused, don't do them. We also need to activate a little bit of a GUI to tell the player they're paused and let them know they can press escape to unpause. We should probably also let the player quit, so if they press Q while paused, they can do that. I don't know why a player would want to do that though. And that's it. Everything we need to make a game is included. We even have an excellent main menu. Okay, maybe we need to change this one a little as well. But first, a word from our sponsor. Just kidding. Look at the subscriber count. This video isn't sponsored. Just subscribe or something. If you really want to help, comment and watch the video 3 times. Yeah. Anyway, main menus. I've never been a fan of making main menus. They always confused me because there's so many different ways to make them, and no matter which type I try to copy, I manage to make it look bad. Recently, there's been a trend in putting buttons to the left and making player select over there. And by recently, I mean, well, in the past 20 years. So that's what we're gonna do. To keep it simple, I'm putting 2 whole options, either play or quit. No settings because I am not messing with that. If you want to lower the game volume, you're just going to have to lower your computer volume. Okay, so we have 2 pieces of text, but we need to interact with them. Luckily, Unity has a whole system for handling buttons and inputs, right? Yeah, well, the button system wasn't agreeing with our camera system, and so we couldn't really use that to easily select options. So we need to go retro. Because we only have 2 options, we can just set which button to be hovering over if the player presses the up or down arrow. Then we just have to change the whole block of text and add a little less than symbol as a selector so the player can see what they're pressing. But it looks too bland. So I grabbed a piece of the map, gave the boat some animation, and now we have a nice little main menu. I mean, it looks kind of mid, but oh well, it serves its purpose of not just setting the player directly into the game. I mean, our other menu did that as well, but oh well. So, our game is done. That's it? I've added in a couple extra endings that you have to play to find out, but the game's finished. The project is over and it's time to press publish. All that time and I actually accomplished my goal. Let's play our game. Okay, well, there's some final bugs that have been ironed out, and now we've got a complete game. I was actually able to stick to a short-term project and complete it over the time frame I wanted. I'm sure a better game dev could have made something like this over the course of a 48-hour game jam, but this is my first ever real game project, and I'm happy with it. So, if you want to play it, I'd love you forever, and I'd especially love some feedback. That's basically it for this game development series. I'm sure I'll make a follow-up about the results and how I actually published it and stuff like that. But for now, that's it. Is it time to start a new game? I don't know. I'm going to mess around a little bit more first, so you should subscribe to see what I work on.